Hi, my name's Jonathan Hicks. I'm back at the Dice Cup, and this evening I'm joined by
Rick. Mark.
And we've just finished playing Architects of the West Kingdom, which is a worker placement game with an interesting twist. So you have a supply of workers here, and in fact you start with 20 or so workers. You start with a lot of workers at the beginning of the game, and you can see we've been placing them in all these different places on the board, because typically when you place a worker it tends to stay there. So for example, I could take one of my workers and I could place it at the silversmith, and I get 1 coin for free, so to speak, and I'm going to get another coin for every worker I've got here. So because I've got 1 worker here, I would get 1 plus 1 is 2 coins, which I take from the supply. But on a subsequent turn, if I decided to put another worker at the silversmith, now I'm going to get 1 coin plus 2 coins, because I've got 2 guys here. So the more workers you've got in a space, the more powerful the action becomes, and most of the actions work like that. Effectively, you're trying to get resources, so you get money from here, you get wood from the forest, stone from the quarry, and you can go to the mines for brick or gold, and then you're trying to effectively build 2 different types of things. So you have a hand of cards, which are like buildings. So I could build a steeple, for example, which is going to get me a certain number of points. I get 4 points at the end of the game for this. It costs a certain number of resources on the left here, and then potentially you're getting some ability or sort of points at the end of the game. So in this case, the most point, furthest up on the cathedral track gets 2 points. The gold symbol is the symbol for victory points. What's the cathedral track? Well, that's the other thing you can do. So when you go to the guild hall, you kind of lie your guy down, and you can't get him back at this point. You either build one of your buildings and get the points and the ability, or you can try and build the cathedral, which is the local king or prince or something wants you to build his cathedral. So you start off at the bottom here, and you're paying to get up to the next level. So to start with, you discard one of your building cards just from your hand, and you pay a gold, and then you get to move up here, and potentially you get a reward, which usually increases you on the virtue track. So you can see you're paying different kinds of resources to advance, and you're getting potentially quite a lot of points here at the end of the game if you get up. But these spaces block, so if I get to this space, I can't go any higher because there are 2 people here. It blocks me. I have to wait until one moves up before now I can move into the space. The virtue track is very important throughout the game, though. This track on the left here determines how virtuous you are, or how dishonourable you are, potentially, as you go down on the virtue track. So you're getting points at the end, depending on how virtuous you are, or negative points if you've been a bad boy throughout the game. But there are also benefits and disadvantages to going like one way or the other way on this track. So one very useful space you can go to is the black market. You pay a bit of money and you kind of get cheap resources without having to actually go and work for it. You just pay your cash, and this symbol means you're losing virtue when you go to the black market. If you spend even more money, you can get lots of resources here. So this is going to affect you moving down, but if you're too virtuous, you see up here, you just can't go to the black market. You wouldn't dare go to such a place if you're very good. Something else you're going to want to do, though, is go to the workshop and get these apprentices. Again, the more people you put here, the kind of more choice you've got. You pay some money, and they're going to help you in various ways. So in this case, every time you go to the king's storehouse, you can pay money to become even more virtuous. And you can in fact just go to this place here to pay in resources to increase your virtue, or you can get marble from the storehouse. But when you go to a lot of places, you can see you're paying money here. The red money is the tax, and the brownie money is the sort of normal money. But if you're not very virtuous, you can actually avoid paying your taxes. So in this case, if you're all the way down here, you can avoid paying 2 taxes on the various places that require you to spend tax. Now, one other thing then is you might wonder how you get your workers back. Well, there's a couple of different ways it can happen. What's typically going to happen is someone's going to stick some of their workers in the town centre, and that lets you capture other people's workers. Effectively, you kind of incite a rabble to follow you around and capture all the unvirtuous people around. So I might go to this spot here, and you sort of pay a bit of money, and then you capture these people that go on your board. And if I'd gone here with a second worker, I'd be able to capture 2 groups of people. So maybe I could capture these as well, and they go on my board. And then once you've got people captured on your board, you can go to the guardhouse over here, take all the people you captured and send them to prison, and you get money effectively for sending them into prison, and that takes people out of action. And every now and then in the game, whoever has the most people in here loses virtue and potentially racks up debts as well, which lose you victory points at the end of the game here. But you can also go to the guardhouse. You can sort of pay money to free your people from prison or from other people's boards even, or pay off your debts. So there's quite a number of different things, as you can see, that you can do, but you keep going around trying to rack up as many points as you can on the virtue track, contributing to the cathedral, building the various buildings to get you the points, And once you've completed a certain number of these buildings, that triggers the end of the game, and the most points wins. What do we think?
Well, I liked it, largely because I won. So that makes a big difference. I really like the fact that the player boards, each of your characters has, on one side anyway, something that they do. For me, gold was equivocal with marble, so it's like, okay, well, if marble's valuable, I'll try and focus on that. But for me, I started with 4 people in prison and a virtue level of only 5, which was a little bit disappointing to find out. But I finished the game with all the virtue I could possibly have, so it immediately puts you in the mindset of the character and wants you to make them a better person, which I enjoy.
Okay, Mark?
Yeah, this was good. In fact, for the length and how it played, very good. It's very tight. The worker going down, capture the place worker, ransoming back for money is very neat in something like this where you wouldn't expect it. Because, I mean, the thing to be honest is we had the rules explanation, for the first time any of the 3 of us played, I think, and played the game in under an hour and a half, and that's a very big plus. I felt like I played a good game. There's a decent number of routes of victory. A lot of it, like the cathedral track, is a race. You compete with the other. But with being able to get character cards with abilities, it's a thick deck of also buildings. There's going to be a decent amount of variation. Again, allowing for in the game that 3 players around an hour. Yeah, I mean, it's all solid. I wouldn't say it's super amazingly different, interesting, but the fact that it's managed to get the package is in such a tight format that felt streamlined, so easy to teach, but I felt like I played a full game, a full worker placement game, an hour. And how many worker placement games you play for an hour and you think, I'm not quite there, there's something missing, something that just didn't take it over the line, I feel like I've not done enough, not really enjoyable. Well, this, I feel like I played a really good game, and it's gone really smoothly, and I've enjoyed every second of it, so really, really positive.
Rating?
If it was just if this went on for an hour and a half, 2 hours, it wouldn't be quite enough. So I'd give it maybe about an 8. But for actually being sub an hour, I'd have to give it a 9 because there's other people playing Carp DM currently, and that's a quick game. But they go about the same length, but that has nothing on this. So if I want to play a worker placement game in sub an hour, this is the one for me to go for.
Okay, rating?
For me, it's an 8. It feels solid. There seem to be a few actions that I just feel like are a little bit too much, sort of taking people to prison, and these guys got a little bit sidetracked with it, and it didn't seem to help them out. I kind of ignored it and could plough on with my own thing. Maybe on a few more plays I'd see the benefit of that bit more, so maybe it would go up to a 9 because it's really fun to play, it really works really well, and it looks great and feels great. But an 8 for me.
Okay. Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. As they say, it's very tight. It ends much sooner than you expect it to. You kind of start building your engine and things like, oh crumbs, there's only going to be a few turns left, so you really have to start quickly, cashing in, trying to get as many victory points as you can. I like the capturing thing because capturing the workers makes everyone else's actions less powerful because they don't have as many guys on the board, but also you can get quite a lot of money by capturing those workers. So I think me and Mark were both doing it for the money as much as anything else, because you really do need money. You need money to hire the apprentices, you need money for a number of different actions, so it's one thing you're desperately trying to get all the time, particularly as we did. We kept visiting the black market, and maybe that was our issue. Maybe Rick has the right idea. He was the virtuous one. We went to the black market far too much. But yes, I really enjoyed it. It's a great family weight, sort of medium weight Euro. It strikes the balance perfectly, I think. Personally, I probably prefer to play something a little bit heavier, but as Mark says, it's just so quick. I couldn't complain really. I'd be on an 8 out of 10. It's a very good game, I think. All right, thanks very much for watching. That was Architects of the West Kingdom.